It's no secret that government likes to operate in secret. But have you ever wondered what your police department is really doing? I'm not talking about press releases or city council meetings. I'm talking about what is that police chief really doing with the department.
Trying to get the back line away. Keep dropping. Shots fired. Clear hot. Come again, Mike. 108 is shots fired. Give us some room. Highway patrol. We're about to hit the pavement. Stand by.
How are your tax dollars being spent? What kind of activities are they plotting against members of the public and citizen activists? Well, one of the best ways to find out is to read their emails. Last September, I requested the emails of the Pasadena, Texas police chief. His name's Al Espinoza. Now, it's been almost a year, and they still haven't released a single page. But with your help, coming up on Monday, we can finally see exactly what this police department's doing. Now, specifically, I requested all emails, including attachments, Facebook messages, memos, letters, and other correspondence sent or received by the chief of police over a 10-day period in July of 2018. That's right, over a year ago, and in September of 2018. Now, who is Al Espinoza and why does it matter to you? The deal is that these law enforcement agencies in this area, like Pasadena and Deer Park, are attacking activists. They're attacking the people who are fighting for our constitutional rights. And they want nothing more than to shut us down and to avoid police transparency. I think this information will be really interesting, and if you stick around for a few minutes, I think you'll understand why that might be. Pasadena is known for operating in the dark and hiding information from the public. Honestly, it's a miracle that I've been able to get this far in the request process to where I almost have our hands on these government secrets of the Pasadena Police Department. A recent headline in the Houston Chronicle was, "Public cannot access much data in Pasadena, Texas, despite transparency laws." The subtitle says, "Faced with roadblocks, some Pasadena residents have given up on getting information out of the city, though state law is supposed to guarantee access." And I can sympathize. If it wasn't for my zero abuse policy where I go and pursue this information no matter what, well, I can understand why a lot of requesters would have given up after almost a year. Now, a few weeks after I submitted my request, the city threw the book at it. They tried everything they could, and even some stuff I don't know about, to keep this information from getting out into the public. They said that every single page, actually word, no letter, was something that you could not see. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Justin, you didn't get it. They got to hide it. Not the case. I recently received some emails from the city of Deer Park, and it provides insight to what we'll get from the city of Pasadena. Greg writes to Sharon Massey, "Thank you, Sharon. I look forward to seeing justice served in this case." What case is this? It's subject. Update on the Warden case. You see, these folks are out to shut down David Warden. That's News Now Houston. They want to make sure that these videos don't make it to YouTube. They talk about going through tons of information to find the information she needs to prosecute News Now Houston. They say they expected to file charges that summer.
I did get a call from Assistant Chief Sharon Massey, making copies for her, putting it in an envelope and giving it to her. She said that he was going out to the Shell refinery and causing problems out there.
The Open Records Division shot down almost every single one of the city's absurd attempts to hide public information. The city may not withhold the Joint Intelligence Bulletins under 552-101 of the Government Code on the basis of FOIA. That's right, Joint Intelligence Bulletins. So there's a lot of information here we can get with your help. The city administration thought they would probably never have to give out this information. So when that ruling was released on December 4th, they ignored it. They thought maybe I had forgotten. In mid-December, I contacted the city about the information. Instead of giving it out, they went to go play a new game. They responded to my email by demanding over $600 to access the information. I explained to the city why those charges were unacceptable and unreasonable. I never heard back. So on December 29th, I submitted a cost complaint to the Attorney General of Texas. In my complaint, I said that the cost estimate is merely an additional attempt by the city to avoid disclosing the requested information. It's likely that many of the emails we get from this request will involve the government's attempt to stifle activist and YouTube channel stars. The time frame of these emails coincides to when this interview with the police chief, where he tries to character assassinate News Now Houston.
Now that I know he's out on the street trying to be somebody. If we have any cold cases to look at, he'd be a good suspect.
It would appear that Chief Espinoza has no authority to talk about sexual misconduct. 2 months after I filed my open records request, the police department was sued by a former assistant chief. In the lawsuit, they say that the defendants, which is the city of Pasadena, demoted plaintiff because of her sex and because she had pursued discrimination claims against the son of the present police chief.
But it's also a big family. Whenever officers need help, whether it's good or bad, officers are always willing to lend a hand.
In February 2017, plaintiff initiated an internal investigation on Officer Stephen Espinoza for sexual harassment after reviewing 2 documents authored by Officer Shauna Brown alleging Officer Stephen Espinoza made inappropriate sexual comments to her during the time he was her field training officer. A field training officer acts in a supervisory capacity and can pass or fail a trainee. The inappropriate comments included, quote, "That's a fail. You're going to owe me a blowjob," unquote, and, quote, "Now you're up to 10. You're going to be down there a while." Lieutenant Al Espinoza, Stephen's father, this was before he was the police chief, criticized the plaintiff initiating the investigation. During the course of this investigation, Lieutenant Espinoza thought the shift supervisors should have handled the incident informally, and that the incident was no more than, quote, "cops being cops." The investigation ultimately concluded Officer Stephen Espinoza violated multiple Pasadena Police Department rules, including sexual harassment or sexual misconduct policies. The complaint was sustained, and that conclusion was accepted and concurred by Plaintiff Clifton, Assistant Chief, among others. Officer Espinoza served a 3-day suspension for the incident in April 2017. Just when you thought this couldn't get any crazier, Police Chief Espinoza was forced out in November of last year. A few weeks after the city reviewed all of Espinoza's emails for my records request, he sent a letter saying he was retiring. The city council voted and accepted the resignation.
And I don't understand why you're leaving. I've heard and I got pretty good sources saying that you were forced out.
Let's keep personnel information away from this. If you read his letter for retirement, you'll see why the man's retiring. Don't bring up your opinion.
Mayor, it's not opinion.
Yes,
it's not opinion.
We
It
don't
is
bring
fact.
personnel issues above here. That's for executive meetings only.
Okay,
ahead, sir.
well, if you'd call them, we could have one.
Go ahead, sir.
So thank you. Anyways, I'd appreciate that. But like I said, it's one of these things to where it's a political thing. Chief has done nothing wrong. I mean, there's no basis for this retirement, if you want to call it that. The man's been forced out. And it's unfortunate that we have these things going on. We have certain people within the City Marshal's Department that are under investigation right now.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, sir.
And
again,
why are we
sir,
not being transparent? Why are we not being transparent?
point of
Certain
order
things
is well
going
taken.
on.
Sammy Casados, please. You know better than that. You know the rules.
But a few hours after that meeting, the city went ahead and appointed a new person to chief. Espinoza later commented to the Houston Chronicle saying, quote, "Every police chief serves at the pleasure of the mayor." The city still fought to keep this information out of our reach. They protested the cost complaint with ridiculous statements. Let me give you an example. They say, IT runs a query for the days requested. In order to keep the system from crashing, they have to run small batches at a time. The batches are sorted into a list of each day of emails sent and received. A staff member must go and do each item to request print. If that email has an attachment, they must go and do the attachment and print them as well. Once the records are printed out, they must be sorted into date order and the attachments must be matched to the proper email as they do not print in order. The documents are then handed over to the city secretary's office. Finally, at the end of May, the Attorney General issued the cost determination. When I requested this information, I asked the city to waive all of the costs, because this is obviously information of vast, critical public importance. It has nothing to do with me in particular. It's information about the activities of the police department. It's information that provides insight into the personnel decisions of the top city administrators. It's information that almost everyone wants to know. It's inappropriate for the city to even be charging to begin with. The Attorney General said, "This office has concluded that the determination of whether providing information is in the, quote, public interest, unquote, rests solely with the governmental body whose records are requested." Now let me clarify here. This is a mandatory duty. If they determine that it's in the public interest, which is absurd to think that this is not, you have a mandatory legal duty to waive or reduce the charges. The Attorney General continued, "Based upon the city's statement of estimated charges, we understand it has not determined a waiver or reduction is in the public interest. However, if the city makes this determination, it should comply with Section 552-267 and reduce or waive the charges." The Attorney General ordered the city of Pasadena to send me a new cost estimate within 5 business days. As you can probably guess at this point, the city never did. I had to call the Attorney General's office, and then after that, they sent me a new cost estimate. They didn't waive the fees, but they did lower the cost to $380, quite a bit less than the original cost estimate. Finally, yesterday, over a month later, they said they had the information ready, but first I had to pay the final charges. They sent me an invoice for $324.20. This includes 1,442 pages of information. I can't wait to see what's in these pages, and I know you want to see them too. Can I count on your support so I can go pick up this information on Monday? There's going to be a lot of juicy information in these 1,400 pages, and with your help, I can get these online and everyone can see them. Why was Espinoza fired? What are the police doing to target activists like News Now Houston?
Wouldn't it be great if we could find some old cases on him?
What steps are they taking to identify and neutralize the supporters of activists and First Amendment auditors?
Well, just know, we've all got your number now. We're going to be keeping track of all of y'all.
When they say terrorism, what are they really talking about? Because apparently the Attorney General didn't agree. All of that information and more can be yours to see, but first we have to get it. And they play these games, they play their delay games, they play their cost games, they do anything they can do to suppress this information. They don't want us to see their secrets, but it's time that we get their secrets. If you're able to help with a donation of $20 or more, I'll send you these records immediately before everyone else gets to see them. That's right, there will be exclusive access. I'll put the best pages on YouTube fairly soon, and in a few months, the whole thing. But for those people who are most dedicated towards the release of public information, you'll get to see it first. In the description below this video, please follow the link to the PayPal pool website where you can give a donation to help support my fight to access public information and to share it with all of you on YouTube. These open records requests can get incredibly complicated, but the important things to remember here is that these police administrators are attacking, they're out to get activists like News Now Houston and other people who are exposing what government's really up to. They want to stifle us, they want to shut us down. Whatever this guy has done is so bad that he was forced out. So what are these emails that they're hiding? What are they trying so hard to keep secret? What are they withholding for over a year? If you're able to, please help support the release of public information. Only through fighting these processes for months and months and tons of hours, dozens of hours, lots of time and money, are we able to get a rare glimpse into what government actually does. I did everything I could to bring the cost of these records down to something obtainable. Now they should give them out free of charge, but it's clear that they're not. If you're able to help, we can finally get these government secrets and see what exactly they're hiding. Now for the technical folks that want to go through the whole process, let me tell you what goes into the over 320 days to access public information. On September 10th, 2018, I submitted my request. 2 weeks later, on September 24th, the city asked the Attorney General to let them withhold the information, and a week later, on October 1st, they submitted more complete comments about why the information should be withheld. On December 4th, the Attorney General ruled that much of the information was subject to required public disclosure, but the city didn't release the information. They didn't tell me anything about the ruling. Maybe they thought I'd forget. On December 17th, I emailed the city and requested them to promptly disclose the information, which is their legal duty. The city replied with a $600 cost estimate and threatened to withdraw the request if I didn't pay them a deposit in time. I replied to the city and explained that I thought the charges were excessive and unreasonable, but the city never responded back to me. Maybe they thought I'd just go away. On December 29th, I submitted a cost complaint to the Attorney General, and still at that point I hadn't received any of the information. On January 22nd, the Attorney General sent the city a letter. They said that they could not withdraw the request and that they had to answer a series of questions. And on February 7th, the city responded to those questions. Several months later, on May 30th, the Attorney General finally issued the cost complaint determination and ordered the city to send the amended cost estimate within 5 business days. But I never received that. So on June 12th, I notified the Attorney General. And then on June 13th, the city mailed a revised cost estimate for $380. I accepted the charges, and on July 26th, they said the information was available upon receipt of $324.20. If all goes well and we have enough support, next week on Monday, we can finally get this information over 320 days later. And that, folks, is what goes into trying to pry the secrets out of your government. Why was Chief Espinoza made to leave the Pasadena Police Department? What really happened? What's really in these emails? With your help, we can find out as early as next week. The days of Pasadena hiding its activities business as usual are over. With citizen activists on the case, they can no longer keep government secrets. Not a fan of socialism, not one bit. That's right, what we're doing here is volunteerism. You don't have to donate. You had to pay your taxes. They get a lot of money. They're already paid once to provide this information.